Welcome back to Kingsport 1851. Wow, we're up to episode 11 of this series, or, the third episode of this particular series. I am joined by another truncated but amazing cast. But first, I'd like to... All right, she's not here tonight. So why don't we start with Leandro, one of the members of the Kingsport Drama Society, who's playing Eva Morgan, our mercenary/outcast.
Yeah, wow, I'm not used to being first. This is weird. Hi, my name's Leandro. UCM pronouns. Yeah, play the aforementioned Eva Morgan. She is, I'll just read the description here, woman of deceptively small stature and perpetually narrowed eyes, as if the world merited nothing but suspicion. As mentioned, she's the mercenary. She's the bosun's mate on the Bark Teddies, which means discipline kind of comes through her. Mercenary means she's very good at kind of hurting people. Knows how to use a revolver. And the outcast description means she's got a big old sin that she's hiding, and the evidence comes in the form of a makeshift set of rosary beads around her neck, or at least on her person, prominent seen but never used for their purpose. Her sin is abandoning her family to the Irish famine. So, still not found out why. No one's really asked her about it, which is good for her because she speaks softly but deliberately. And so far, she spent most of this journey kind of not going directly to the captain, but kind of trying to massage some of what the captain's actions, I guess, to hopefully some avail.
I'm sure everything's going to work out just fine. Everything fine. Why don't we go next to Scott, who's playing James Fyfe, our old sea dog, confident and first mate of this here Barky.
Scott, he, him pronouns, playing as stated James Fyfe, also he, him pronouns. James hails from glorious Scotland, though spent much of his later adolescence and then adult life on ships, and has been around the Kingsport area for the last several decades. He is the old sea dog and confident. He is good at making people feel at ease and sharing their sorrows and their secrets with him. And he is currently serving as first mate, his first time being a first mate aboard a vessel. And so far surviving? Question marks. Also, Scott has a migraine, and so I'll be taking my glasses on and off.
Wow, we're all walking wounded tonight.
I know. This is my second game today playing with the migraine, but I didn't miss either one. So.
Oh wow. Well, you guys are nothing but a bunch of old troopers. I mean, between Leandro, having to basically go backwards in time to have enough hours in the day for this. And finally, last but not least, an original Kingsporter, Jim, who's playing Enoch Everson.
Everson, I am.
Everson. Mm-hmm.
Enoch Everson. So Enoch is a beautiful young tabula rasa who you found on just kind of living by himself, marooned on a kind of idyllic little atoll, just somewhere in the middle of the South Seas. Forgive me, that's the walking wounded part of it. I am nursing my annual spring head cold. I will do my best to make sure I'm not coughing into the mic for anybody and stuff like this. But so forgive my scratchy throat and my kind of and if I'm a little fuzzy, I'm kind of hopped up on some cold medicine right now. I'm Jim. I use he, him, but if you're using they, them, that is fine too. That doesn't bother me. You can find me online at jimlikesgames.com if you wanted to hear more about what I'm doing with gaming stuff. My character is Enoch Everson, and what I have for Enoch is he, him, as far as we know. He presents as male. No one has looked down his shorts or anything like that at any point. So, but he is a big, strong, Kat was laughing because I had chosen the Chris Hemsworth whaling movie as my avatar. Chris Hemsworth as a sailor, which nobody buys, but I figured I would try and lean into that and see how we can make it work. But I actually am a cook's mate. So I help with preparing food on the ship, and my playbook, or whatever it is that we call it in in Alas for the Awful Sea, is the creature. So there is definitely more than meets the eye to me, and we will see how much of that manifests today as we play. So
Wow, everybody has such long introductions. I'm Kat. I'm the Mistress of Ceremonies. I go by she, her, because my true gender includes swear words. And you can actually find me online doing stuff. I was just on a podcast of note. So, all right, let's get this thing started. So you've left Pitcairn and the storm behind, and the captain is non Copus Mentis. I mean, more so than usual. And the running of the ship is left to Mr. Fyfe. So, Mr. Fyfe, how are things going? Crew's totally okay with you just sailing off the edge of the map, right?
Seems to be a bit of a concern expressed. In fact, I think I'll need to go talk to. I'm going to get the names all wrong. To Eva about that.
That sounds like a good place for us to start. So, where are you, on the Holy Quarterdeck?
Yeah.
Yeah, this feels weird. Do I come to you then?
I probably had you called, but yeah.
Yeah. I think I see you in the quarterdeck. I'm like, I shouldn't be surprised, but Mr. Fyfe.
Eva, I think you may have a inkling as to why I've called you here to speak.
I think she nods. So continue.
Worried about the morale of the crew. I'm worried that they may all not be as along for the journey as we are.
With all due respect, Mr. Fyfe, if they're worried, then they had plenty of chances to leave back at Pitcairn. What with the Jezebel and the Pitcairn Islanders' own offer, they had every chance to leave. Mr. Fyfe, I gave them the chance. Whoever's left here will have to live with their decisions.
That was wise. Let's continue, though, and keep our ears open and consult on this. The possibility of some of the crew getting ideas.
Well, sir, if we want them to be pacified, then whatever good luck Captain Goodwin gave to the ship, we'll need to find our own reservoir. And that means hoping that whoever the hell is above that, we might find game in these parts.
I think that will be key.
Have you seen her, Mr. Fyfe?
Not today, no. Not yet. It is early.
I'll keep my ear to the ground, sir.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, I'm not in a leave.
Fantastic. Not even a little bit ominous. So, but have you been having any trouble with any crew people bosun's mate, Morgan?
I think there might be. I'm sure there are some people who are regretting staying behind, but there were some folk, if I remember correctly, last session who very prominently declared their loyalty to Captain Goodwin, and I think Eve was kind of slightly more concerned that people know that she was the one who passed around the offer from Pitcairn, that they can stay there instead of coming along this journey.
Yeah, and I seem to recall that Bill Walker had a conversation with Elizabeth that nobody could hear, but
Yeah.
that was okay, cool.
And Elizabeth went straight to Captain Goodwin and said, I believe in you and all that jazz.
Yes. Cool, let's go with that. Yeah, so yeah. I think yeah. Let's see what we want to do with this. Actually, let's throw all the harpooners together. So we got Enoch, we've got all the other harpooners. And yeah, I think Eva, you can make an entrance into the scene when you feel necessary. How about that? So yeah. So Enoch, you're gathered with the harpooners up on the prow of the ship, I think, and you're doing their normal boasting games of can you hit that with a harpoon? How are you doing in that?
I think I'm probably doing pretty well. I mean, we've established. I think there are other harpooners that are more accurate, but I am very strong. So occasionally I will miss, but every time I hit, it's a solid, ding,
Nice.
like I don't get a lot of glancing blows.
All right, so Hezekiah is being his usual grumpy puss self and just mostly working on sharpening his harpoons and checking their balance. But Elizabeth keeps looking at you. And finally she says, excuse me for asking, because it's none of my business, Mr. Efson, but what were you doing on an island in the middle of nowhere?
I ate. I slept when the stars came out. I explored. There was a cave beneath the island that was you needed to swim to get into it, to swim beneath the entrance, and then you could emerge, and there was air and a space, and it had it was nothing lived there, but it was very peaceful. When the storms raged outside, that was where I would go.
Yes, but I mean, who put you on the island?
I don't exactly remember. When you arrived, it felt like I had always been there.
Were you sent as a sign to our captain?
I don't know. Perhaps. I have no knowledge that that's why I ended up here, but I had not expected that I would ever see anything but the island and the sea around the island. Your arrival was something like a miracle.
Do you know anything about where we're going?
The captain has told me that it is the place in the world that is farthest from everywhere.
But I mean, do you know what's there?
The sea.
But why would the captain go all the way to the sea? We're in the sea. I don't understand. I don't understand these mysteries.
And I will gently put a hand on her shoulder, and I will say, because it is the farthest place in the world from everywhere.
feel like you need to roll plus hot here.
Okay,
But
so
no, she looks at you and she's so confused, but your eyes are so simple. I mean, yeah, this kind of works in a multiple level. I mean, simple is the opposite of confusion.
so yeah, so why don't I roll to manipulate her to just like get her to like just like I just want her like on board and thinking this is a cool thing.
Oh, yeah, go right ahead,
Because
please.
she sounds like she's like uncertain, and I'm trying to kind of like get her on board. So, do we have our? Is there a link to our
Oh, yeah.
roll for your party?
Yep. Sorry, there is. I always forget to do that, and I forget to do many things. I just realized the other thing I forgot to do. Cool. There you go.
That's the Hangouts link.
Is it?
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
We are all firing on all thrusters today.
Yep. There you go.
Yes, that looks like roll for your party. All right, I'm super hot, so I'm rolling a +2 here. What do we got? 5 + 2 gets me to 7. So on a 7, and when you try to manipulate another, tell them what you want, which is to say, I want her to let go of her fears and come along on this journey with us. And then I roll plus beauty for NPCs. They ask you to promise something first. If you make that promise, then you roll.
Wow. Let me think. What could you promise? She says, but I want to believe, but I'm too weak to do so without some kind of sign.
All right. So then I tell her, I say, oh, we will know. We will know. I am sure that something will. The captain wouldn't lead us astray, and there will be a sign. On a 7 and 9, they change the terms to suit themselves or demand concrete assurances first.
Okay, I think she nods and she pads off towards the back of the ship to go and set her vigil near the captain, like she's been doing these last couple of days. Okay. Hey, before I go any further, your safety is important to me. Even though I constantly forget to do the X card talk, because we're all indie veterans. We all know how this thing works, but that's why you got to keep talking about it. So remember, just say X card or use the button on roll for your party, or type X card, or just say stop. I need to X card something, and we'll stop and go back, and we will not ask any questions. We'll just remove the content. And there's the safety tab, which I've kept up to date on the spreadsheet, and please feel free to visit that at any moment. So that's cool. Mr. Fyfe, while you're on the quarterdeck at the con, one of the lookouts suddenly shouts, "A boat ahoy!"
And I'll raise a glass to my eye and check out the boat. And what kind of boat is it?
It's a whaling boat.
Ah,
It's got a sail rigged up, but its sail looks all battered, and it's got that sun damaged cotton look, like it's been up for days. And it's got about 10 people inside, and they do not look well for wear.
I'll give orders to commands to sail closer. It looks like we may have sail a bit closer, and then we'll cross. It looks like there's some sailors in distress over there.
All right, so you bring the Tethys to, and the boat slowly comes under your lee, and one of the sailors looks up at you and says, "What shit? What bark be this?"
This be the bark Tethys.
"You're an American?"
Not I. I'm a Scotsman, but this be an American vessel.
God be praised. I'm Isaac Hamilton. I was second mate on board the Cassandra. May we come aboard, Captain? We've been at sea now these 14 days.
Please come aboard. Let's get you some food and some water.
All right, so several of them need help to come up. Many of them have a sort of guilty look on their face, and they are all pretty emaciated.
Isaac, what was his name?
Yeah, Isaac Hamilton, went second mate on the Cassandra.
Isaac, tell me what happened on the Cassandra.
Well, it's a tale that would chill your bones if I felt like that you'd have the believing of it.
You may be surprised what I will believe.
All right, so he kind of walks over to a corner of the quarterdeck on the weather side, so that the wind kind of drowns him out if people get too far away, and just says, "Well, it were about 16 days ago now. We were sailing to the west of here, but further south, and at first we thought some of the men may have caught a brain fever, perhaps when we paid call in the societies, but they fell to the ground, and many of them seemed to have lost their language at all, and some spoke in strange tongues. I can tell you the Pentecostals on the ship were extremely interested in this whole affair, but well, in the night they all got up, and before we knew it, they'd overpowered the ship and taken the con. They threw some of us down the brig and changed course, south and southeast. Well, it came to blows. We managed to break out from the lower cabins and stole one of the whale boats. I lost 10 men on the attempt. Only 15 of us got into that boat. 4 of us died of fever.
Well, you'll be safe here.
I'd be appreciative if you could find a way to take your time to take us to an island. Perhaps sail to the north and west, get back to the societies, or to Hawaii. Or if you know of a Yankee sailor nearby, perhaps he could put us back on a ship headed for the mainland. I feel a great need to have the land under my feet now. I don't mind telling you, Mr. Fyfe.
That's to be understood. Tell me more about these, the tongues these men were speaking in, these men and women.
Well, I would have thought it was mere ravens, but there seemed to be some sort of language to it. And when they took the ship, they had the ability to communicate in it, or so it seemed to me.
Communicated as if they were birds?
Communicated as if they were men, but that were no language of men I ever heard. I've been many places. I've been to Papua itself and up into the mountains there, where they speak many different strange tongues, but this were like nothing that I ever heard before. In some strange way, it seemed that the human mouth weren't fit to pronounce it right.
Isaac, I do believe your tale.
Well,
as unbelievable as you may feel it to be.
To be honest, I don't know if I half believe it myself.
I believe it, and I believe that you are safe now.
Well, it's to be hoped. What's your course, Captain?
Why, We're basically heading in the same direction, aren't we? We're going south, so they were in the society. So we're going south-southeast, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
He blinks for a minute. It's like, is this some new hunting ground I haven't had the hearing of?
Captain believes so, and we're well stocked and we're prepared, and journey's been profitable so far. If your crew recovers and wants to sign up for a share, I'm not the one to talk to, but you know who will be. Let me introduce you.
You're going to introduce him to the captain?
No.
Huh.
I'm going to introduce him to the bosun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mr. Walker comes up. He's like, well, none of you look fit for duty at the moment, but we'll see what we can give you. There's probably some whale steaks that we can make. We'll put some flesh back on you.
If they recover and want to sign up, sign these men up. They all seem good.
I am Mr. Fyfe. So he takes them down below decks to find them a berth.
And if I hear the fact that they need sustenance, may I start cooking for them? Can I prepare a handsome feast for them?
Why, yes. We never get to use that move, so...
Yeah, this seems like the perfect moment for it. When you cook everyone a meal, choose to make a delicious feast or a nauseating disaster. I'm going to make a delicious feast. And let me see. And it's just I'm rolling with bronze, so it's +2. See what we get. 7 + 2 gets me to 9. So on a 7 and 9, I choose 1. Everyone feels obliged to repay me for my hospitality.
Oh dear.
Is what I'm going to choose for that. Oh, you know what? No, I like uninhibited and loose-lipped better. Because there's clearly something going on, like, with their guilty looks and stuff like that. So I'm going to choose everyone becomes uninhibited and loose-lipped as they stuff their faces with the aforementioned whale steaks, which I've prepared to perfection with some, like, whatever leftover limes that I had from the island or something like that.
Excellent. So one of them doesn't seem to want to eat, or rather, he's not eating any of the meat, and his fellow crew are kind of pointing that out to him, and he's like, I can't, not after. And he sees you bustling in, and he's sort of just gets real quiet and says, I'm sorry, Mr. Enoch, is it?
It is Mr. Evison, but I'm not an officer, so you should call me Enoch.
Well, forgive me, Enoch. I must still have a touch of the stomach flu. I just find I can't stomach meat right now.
There may still be some coconuts left.
I'd be obliged. Thank you.
Yes. Well, you are also. This must have been a difficult journey for you. And yeah, and I'll bustle. I'll crack a coconut open and pour the milk out into a little glass, and crack it open and bring him a whatever. You can carve the flesh out with a knife, or however it is you eat a coconut. When it's not chopped up for you in advance. But yeah, I'll bring him that. Sit down, just kind of sit down across from him.
So most of the rest of the Cassandras sort of filter out, and a couple like go up to the deck to lie down, and some head back to their berths to rig up hammocks. And Alex just sits there. It's like, my name's Alex Deacon. I was able on the Cassandra.
Alex, it was. The sea is vast, and It is something like a miracle that we found you.
Yes. Well, I wish that we might have deserved it.
I don't understand.
And then he just sort of gets quiet and he's like, "We're 15 of us went in the boat. It's too many for a whaler, as you can tell. Some of us were sick. Maybe it was the sickness that took the Cassandra. I don't know. They died quick enough to where Teddy who lingered. He had broken his leg falling from a mast in the escape. It was his decision that we do what we did."
What did you do?
he just
Yeah, and the expression, like, I have this expression, like I'm wrapped, like I
Teddy was he's learned in some ways. He said he had done studies on this affair, and that he said the mistake that people made was to not start with the Eden until all of us were at the store, and as he was a goner, he insisted that, well, when he died,
Oh, he gave you a gift.
I suppose you might look at it that way, but
You are here and alive because of the gift that he gave you.
I can't but help but feel 'tis a sin, though, Enoch.
Did he not give you his blessing?
I don't know that he had the right to do it.
I don't understand. Then, if he had not the right to do that with his own flesh, you are here. You are alive. You are alive because he chose that. He chose to let you live, to help you live. Wouldn't the greater sin be to have his gift be for naught?
He looks at you strangely. Well, I suppose were it not for guilt, but strangely, when I talk to you, Enoch, like the feeling that is an emotion you know little of.
Before the crew found me on the island, I lived alone. I'm still learning. Perhaps guilt is something that I will learn.
I feel as if I could talk to Adam. He would have opinions much like yours.
Perhaps. Has the coconut settled your stomach? Would you like a whale steak?
It settled my stomach, but I don't want the steak now, but perhaps another day.
When you decide that it is time, even if it is not properly a mealtime, find me. I'll prepare it for you.
All right. Cool. So, Eva, that night, while you're on the deck taking one of your watches, Bill Hezekiah and Isaac come up to you.
Oh, what a trio. I just kind of turned to them, just regarded and said, "Gentlemen."
Miss Morgan, says Bill, I've been discussing things with Mr. Hamilton here, and with Mr. Smith, and well, and Isaac just breaks in. He's like, "We're on the same bearing as the Cassandra was taking before we managed to escape. This is madness, miss. We'll be this ship will be taken as soon as they were. You must turn aside."
If you don't mind me asking, Mr. Hamilton, taken by what?
I don't know, some devilry of the oceans, but the men were driven mad. They it was as if they were taken by some other force. I mean, they talk about in the old witching days of possession and such. I'd always thought it'd be just superstition, but I've never seen anything the like of it. Where they were going, I do not know, but I cannot conceive that it would be a good place they were going to.
Well, Mr. Hamilton, this bearing was chosen for us not by some lunatics speaking in tongues, but by our duly appointed captain. And to countenance her order would be against our duty for the moment.
I understand that your captain is not in command of her senses at this moment.
This has happened before, and she has emerged in control of her wits before, and she'll do so again.
May I suggest, Miss Morgan? I know the bylaws of a ship's commission as well as anyone. If the captain is not able to serve his duties, then the captain can be replaced by a more suitable officer take their place.
I look at Hezekiah and Bill and says, "Who else have you been talking to?"
Well, says Bill, no, I haven't talked to any of the officers yet. I doubt that Mr. Fyfe will hear me, and Zadok has not been the same since we threatened him. And as for... Well, Miss Morgan, I have a young wife back in Kingsport. She's bearing our child. I'd love to return to Kingsport and see them, even if it meant foregoing the profit of a long voyage. I am most direly afraid, sir.
There is a... This was Bill talking, right? Or is it Hezekiah? Oh, Bill.
Bill. Hezekiah doesn't have a family. Are you kidding me? I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe
he does.
Yeah, maybe he at home he sits around and just does, like chess puzzles and plays with his dogs and his wife.
Ava sighs and looks at Bill and says, "I seem to recall, Mr. Walker, that when I passed around the offer from the islanders at Pitcairn to shelter there before we set off, you told me that you were, by contract, behooved to your duty to follow our captain."
That was when what we were headed toward was more of an unknown, but I believe Mr. Hamilton. So does Mr. Fyfe.
I think, she just has another just. I think it looks at Mr. Hamilton and says, I don't think she's keeping it inscrutable. And she's like, then, Mr. Walker, what do you suggest the course of action should be?
We can approach Mr. Fyfe, try and convince him to return to the commercial portion of our voyage. But I don't know how far the crew can be pushed, Miss Morgan. When it comes down to it, some may try and take the ship no matter what we do. We'd best be prepared for that. But we'd also best consider which side we'll throw in on if that were to happen.
There's still plenty on this ship who believes in the good fortune the captain brings. I would rather we not sail into the opposite to try and convince them otherwise. So I'll talk to Mr. Fyfe. I doubt anything can be done without him.
Agreed. And we have not spoken to anyone else, nor will we. And he gives a stern look at Hezekiah and Isaac.
Best keep it that way.
Aye. So they all grudgingly nod.
I ever really want to go to the captain and wake her up, but that's not going to do anything. So she's just going to brood for the moment.
Cool.
Brooding.
Brooding.
It in. But find Mr. Fyfe.
All right.
Later.
We can do that in the morning, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So another beautiful dawn on the Pacific as the ship bores its way to the south. The watch changes and Mr. Fyfe comes on the deck, and I guess I don't know if you took the whole watch all night, but you can definitely find him there.
Yeah, it looks like she just stayed on deck all night. Probably already waiting near the quarterdeck. Mr. Fyfe.
You seem tense.
I have every right to be. Told me to keep my ears to the ground, and I did. There's a push. There's talk, sir, that our bearing will lead us to nothing but damnation. And this is more than just loose whispers now that we have the remnants of the Cassandra with us.
I feared when this moment would come. I see 3 courses that I'll put to you. The first, we stand with and behind the captain, come what may. And the second, we turn on our captain. This would be the hardest of these choices for me to make.
Why so?
It's hard for me to talk about. Just say, I don't think I could pull myself to do that. The third choice, if you have a few trusted men, just pepper them amongst these malcontents and sow some dissent among their ranks. They cause the biggest threat when wholly united. When only partially united, smaller threat.
Which course
You
would
know
you
best if
recommend
you-
taking?
You know best if there's a small number of men or women who you can trust.
Trust. Yeah.
Regardless, I'm with the captain. So if you were to choose that second choice, you'd be facing me and her.
No need for doubts, Mr. Fyfe. I stand with the captain. It's just I had hope to have given people a chance to make a decision and leave back at Pitcairn or with the Jezebel. I know when a person is driven to lengths that others shouldn't be dragged along with. I gave them the choice, and they chose to stay here. I'd rather we all not come to blows over this.
That's my preference as well. If you think of other options, I'm here. I'm listening. Dog noises.
We need to. Well, Mr. Oh, shit. Dog ran across the
Dog
screen.
noises. He gets crazy when he's wet. He's wet.
Oh dear.
And where stands Enoch? There's great strength in Enoch.
I think when you mentioned Enoch, because I think we talked about him 2 sessions ago, Ava's face kind of curdles and says, "I'd prefer we not drag that boy into our disputes. He strikes me as someone whose soul has yet to be stained, like everyone else is on the ship."
Are you guys having this meeting at a point where I could just kind of like show up outside the door, or where is this happening on the quarterdeck, right?
We're on the quarterdeck, so yeah, you could walk, below it.
Yeah.
Or I mean, on it, because you just don't understand how ships work.
Well, no, the captain has told me that I'm not allowed to go on there without she tells me it's okay.
Fair.
Like I get that. So I mean, I can like if you if you want to bring me in, I can be, like in the neighborhood. So
I think I will. I think if I see you, I spot you, I call you over. Let's talk about this, Eva. Enoch.
Mr. Fyfe, and I come over, whatever, climb the whatever. Is it steps or a ladder, or is it just, whatever. I clamber up to the, and so I'm there on the quarterdeck with you.
How fare you this morning?
I'm well, sir. I've been speaking with the crewmen from the other from the boat that we've taken aboard.
What did you learn?
One of them gave the others a gift. He knew that he was going to perish, and so he offered to sustain them with his flesh.
Eyebrow raise.
They live because of this sacrifice that he made for them. It was quite
They
inspiring.
willingly shared this information with you?
One of the crewmen was reluctant to eat. And given their condition, it's necessary if they're to live to see the end of our voyage. They have to eat. I asked him why he was reluctant, and he told me the story.
I should tell you, Enoch, you may not have learned this information on the island. The eating of each other among our kind, our culture, is frowned upon.
Yes, he spoke. He spoke as if it was a sin, even though his fellow crewmen had given of himself willingly.
Yes, if he is a good Christian man, he would believe it to be a sin. That to them it is a sin. To many of the religions I've encountered, it's a sin. To
The
some,
others,
not.
the others appeared untroubled.
Well, of course, they're untroubled. As you said, they live. They continue to draw breath thanks to their friend. I turned to Mr. Fyfe and said, "This is what we'll have to face against Mr. Fyfe. Men driven to terrible lengths because of the bearing we're on."
We have ample stores, surely, and there are whales that we can take aboard.
We're starting to see less and less whales. However, the captain wants us to continue sailing. The men aboard a whaling vessel like to see increasing profits. A day without whales is a day without profit. Oftentimes, this leads to shifting allegiances.
Yes, you told me before to take note of anyone who seemed reluctant. And there seems to be some talk, but they do not share it with me.
Perhaps you could cook them a fine feast and see if they would share more with you. You do seem to either put people at ease or creep them out. No offense.
I have no grounds to take offense, sir.
Wonderful. Eva, would having Enoch's ears be beneficial to us?
The crew trusts him, so yes.
He may be able to find, to spot those loyal and those whose allegiances are shifting.
I'd like to know who will stand with the captain. I have a good guess on who be against her. It's good to know who's friends first before enemies. I think Eva's kind of not trying to not look at Enoch's face, who's probably beaming, because I don't know. I can't imagine Enoch never not beaming.
I'm just standing here, kind of like you haven't dismissed me yet, so.
Isn't there mouths to be fed?
Yes, it is almost time for supper. I have saved some spices from the island. I will prepare. Yes, I'll prepare a handsome feast.
Delicious, delightful. Thank you.
I think Enoch's leaving now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Eva again sighs because that's her default mood these days. I mislike using that boy, Mr. Fyfe.
I do feel some guilt.
Do you?
He seems to be the only truly innocent among us.
He deserves better.
We deserve what we get.
Mr. Fyfe, try and rouse the captain. I'll take a walk.
All right, that sounds like a good scene ending.
So, Jim, I want to. Did you want to roll that move, or are you just gonna?
Yeah, let me roll that move.
Okay,
I
absolutely.
have 3 kind of servings of like herbs and stuff from the island. I'm gonna each, and using one gives me a +1 to that feast roll. So I'm gonna use one of my servings of the herbs and give myself an additional +1. So I'll be rolling with +3 here. And that is 11 plus 3. So
Wow.
that is 14, which means I can choose both options. Everyone becomes uninhibited and loose-lipped. Everyone feels obliged to repay me for my hospitality.
Interesting. And how would you like people to repay you for your hospitality?
Like, I think that basically, kind of I'm serving and we're talking and laughing and whatever, singing songs and stuff like this, and they can repay me by coming to me first before they like raise a hand against the captain.
Fantastic. Cool. And another thing that happens is a lot of the regular crew have started to remark about, what an amazing sign it was that they found you, and, your remarkable skills with a harpoon despite never having picked one up, and how you must be some sort of good fortune, and that clearly the captain knew that's why they ended up on that island, and there's a mythology beginning to develop here.
That all seems entirely reasonable.
So as the ship bears southward, many days pass. I'd like everyone to give me a detail about the journey. Please choose from religious, mutinous, or ominous.
Mr. Fyfe, one night, night of the full moon, while walking on the quarterdeck, there came the most mournful wailing noise from the sea itself. And all of us who heard it were affected. It was as if a young animal were dying.
I think kind of throughout the days, there is a restlessness amongst basically some of the crew, some of the officers, specifically those 3 that that they're planning something, and every time, not almost every night, they kind of try and corner Ava to like, okay, what do we do now? What do we now? And Ava keeps telling them that there's no move if there's no move that can be done without Mr. Fyfe, and Ava's working on wearing him down is what she always says. And I think every night their looks kind of get warier and warier, especially Isaac Hamilton. And every time they leave, Ava reflexively just reaches for her rosary and then remembers and then stops reaching. And then continues to brood.
The man that they cannibalized, what was his name again?
It was Teddy.
What was his last name?
That's an excellent question.
You know what? It actually doesn't matter.
Teddy Pearson.
Teddy Pearson. So, I start noticing around the ship that someone has just carved TP just into the wood in little corners and behind, little nooks and stuff like that. Just kind of scratched it into the wood in different places around the ship.
Aw. By the way, you know what Theodore means?
I do not.
Gift of God.
There we go.
That worked out well, huh? Okay, cool. So, one day, as you continue your southward course through areas that your charts say are completely empty, the lookout sings from the masthead, "Land ho!"
Let's make haste.
All right. And indeed, there is some kind of strange island that quickly comes into view. It looks like an atoll, but rising out of the middle of it is a great basalt rock formation that almost looks like a misshapen claw pointing directly at the heavens. So that's the first thing you notice. The second thing you notice is that it is surrounded by a ring of ships that have come up against or broken on the coral reefs around the atoll.
That's not ominous in any way whatsoever.
Not in the slightest.
I'm going to yikes, this is not good. I'm going to, what is that move?
Read a situation?
Yeah. It's brain. I do not think that's a strength. It's not a weakness. So I'll assess what I'm looking at, and got a 5.
Got a 5.
Yeah, my success with dice continues.
That's fantastic. So Bill comes walking unsteadily up to you and says, "Oh, good. You have arrived. I shall be your pilot."
Bill, Mr. Walker.
Yes. Call me whatever you feel is appropriate. But I shall take you on the course that will not break you upon the atoll. We have need of a ship that is still functioning.
You are confident you can do this.
I am more than confident. I am assured that I can do this.
Take the helm.
All right. So he begins to bark out sailing orders, and you start weaving towards the atoll, towards a gap in the reefs, you hope. As you pass by one of the ships that's fetched up on the reef, of course you see what's painted on the stern of the ship. Cassandra, Nantucket.
I think we know the fate of the Cassandra.
And as you come over the bar, you see that gathered on the island are a motley collection of people. There are what look like naval officers of one navy or another. There are what look like merchant sailors. There are many islanders wearing, wearing their sarongs and other local outfits, and they're all just kind of standing on the beach, staring out at you as Bill gives the command to drop anchor in the lagoon. And this seems like an appropriate time to take our break. So when we get back, the mysterious island will open. Yeah. So what y'all doing as the ship finally comes to a stop and the crowd gathers on the shore of the island, staring at you?
I mean, are we lowering boats to go ashore?
Let's put it this way: Bill is standing next to the davits, waiting for people to come over.
I'll come over to Bill and Mr. Walker.
It takes a moment, then he looks up like, yes. Are you here to help me with this boat?
Is James nearby, right? So I just give him a look, like, what's this?
I'm gonna try sense what's beyond with Mr. Walker here. He seems less himself than I've ever seen him before. Certainly not known him to crew a ship like that. Let's see. It's plus beyond 10.
10.
I receive visions and truths.
Okay, so whatever took hold of Bill before when he gave you the course setting, definitely the same creature is back and currently running things. And just looking at the shore, you can tell that probably a lot of the people on the shore are being ridden in the exact same way.
You're not planning on going down there, are you, Mr. Fyfe?
I don't think it would be safe to bring that many of them aboard. They seem to be under the control, under the thrall of something else.
I kind of look at Bill. It's like, okay. I think he says, and let me come down there and see what they want.
Be careful. Take Enoch with you. Take someone with a strong arm.
Very well.
Well, all right then. So the two of you lower the boat in its davits. Bill takes the tiller, just nods at you to start rowing. And shortly thereafter, you pull the boat up on the surf and are standing among a very weird and motley assortment of people, all kind of staring fixedly at you.
I turn to Bill and says, now, what's the purpose of all this?
Exploration, of course.
Of what? Of the world? Of Mr. Walker over there?
This is a particular phenomenon that will occur at this point in the curve of 27-dimensional space-time, you understand. Not the same way every time, of course, but it is enough of a marker that we have decided to place a temporary lock upon this position. To do so, we must take certain readings. There are also several interesting possible future outcomes for this that we have not decided which one to fix yet. Did that answer your question?
Possibly. I fail to see what any of that has to do with us, then.
Ah, well. As it turns out, there are certain correspondences that even we cannot fully understand, and therefore we have no objection to the furtherance of your captain's chosen course. Indeed, to stand between that which calls and that which is attracted is generally not a healthy or safe thing as we have existed. I believe that's contradiction number 173, isn't it? And one of the other guys nods, and he's looking at Enoch like, and he says something in a strange language, and then he tries again. He's like, "Parlez-vous français? Just what are you?"
I'm Enoch Evison. I'm a harpooner on this ship.
He just shakes his head. I'm sorry. I'm not an anthropologist. Harpooner.
Yes. Would we have? There wouldn't be any reason for there to be a harpoon on the boat, right? Or
Not unless you brought it. I mean, you are a whaler, but you don't know anything about whaling, so.
Yeah, it is a great barbed spear with a line attached. We hurl it. I hurl it at a whale. It catches in the whale's flesh, and we then harry it until exhaustion, kill it, flay its flesh aboard the ship, and all of us profit from that.
How barbaric. How entertainingly barbaric. You were right about this world, Archivist. They're the most entertaining of creatures. But what are you? You're not really human, are you?
Are you not men?
Do we not look like men? And they all sort of try and pose naturally.
He says, and I say, you have the appearance of them, but you do not speak as any men I've ever met.
Well, have you met that many men? And one of them just hits one of the others in the ribs, like, come on, knock it off.
And I kind of I cock my head, and I say, perhaps not.
You're very strange, though.
Perhaps.
Entertainingly strange. You are aware that you are enshrouded in a hyperspace manifold. It's lovely to look at.
I know that I'm not like other men.
Self-knowledge is true knowledge. I believe that's a human saying.
The captain said that the place that we went to would be further from everywhere than anywhere.
Ah, yes. Well, the presence of this island would seem to spoil it, but fear not. This is only temporary.
The island will go away?
Oh, yes.
What will happen to you?
Well, we'll be fine.
What happened to us?
He gets a kind of faraway look and says, I could work out the probabilities if it would make you feel better.
Do so.
It will take me a little time. And finally, at this point, a kind of grizzled-looking old Polynesian woman comes walking up, leaning on a stick, says, "That won't be necessary." Looks around. "What are you people doing? Get back to work. Please forgive them. They're still a little rough around the edges. You may call me Mr. K. I am the leader here."
So you're their captain?
In a manner of speaking, yes. And I suppose you could say I'm parent to at least some of them. They are derivative branches, but that's probably just confusing. Don't worry about it.
Are you what draws Captain Goodwin to this bearing?
Oh, good heavens, no. No.
So this is not our destination then.
Oh, no. We're just here to observe several phenomena,
Well,
including your arrival as one of them, or at least that was where the main chance lay, and so we've decided to lock that line in. And of
no.
course, they gave the job to me because I'm now a human specialist.
The crewmen from the Cassandra that we took aboard said that their mates had been taken by a brain fever. But that was the Cassandra that we passed.
Ah, yes, we brought it here. We needed more hosts in order to accomplish some of the works that we must do within the narrow constraints of the apparent four-dimensional space-time continuum you inhabit.
You took them?
Yes.
Will you return them when you're done?
Provided their host is intact, yes, we have every intention of doing so. I assure you, they are finding that their time in the archive will be extraordinarily interesting. It's a pity that they won't remember it, but...
You caused great suffering to the others.
Well, that was their choice now. They could have stayed. Not all of us are hosts. I mean, there are many here who simply accompanied their fellow humans to this island, and they are employed gainfully, and they attempt to escape every now and then, but eventually they'll escape.
So you keep them here.
Where else would they go? We need to be here, and they had their choice. They could have done the fate of the Cassandras and floated upon the open ocean. I understand that is not generally considered salutary to human health.
No. Seems to me the choice you gave them is no choice at all. I think I'm going to jump off the boat because I think we're still on the boat.
I'd figured you were probably... Well, no, actually, if you wanted to just be standing there on the beached boat, yeah, that's
yeah. Yeah, this whole time I was imagining just this conversation, the two of us, the three of us, I guess, with Mr. Walker still on the boat. If I get this right, whatever you are not of any world we know.
Well, now, that all depends on how you look at it.
Because I'd rather you not condescend to me, Mr. K.
Mr. K. Well, think of it this way. The current location of the archive is, in fact, on planet Earth.
And this is an archive of what exactly?
Of knowledge. All knowledge. And, of course, it is the current central repository of our branch consciousnesses, and also our evolving map of the space-time flux.
Most of that's going over her head. Uh, I think Eva nods at that. It's like what I don't know what that is. Her eyes gonna go to the is basalt thing, the shrine or statue.
It looks like it's one of those things that's like you can't quite tell if it's a natural formation or if it's like very old worked formation. It looks a little bit like a giant clawed hand in a fist like this pointing out of the middle of the island.
I think I'm gonna try and read the situation as I'm kind of walking into this beach.
That seems fair.
Yeah. Brain. Okay, that's a wait. What is my brain? How smart is Ava? Ava's perfectly average, and I rolled a 10.
Beautiful. Ask me some questions.
Okay. What should I be on the lookout for?
So many things spring to mind. Certainly, whatever these creatures are, they seem to know a lot more about what's happening than you do. And whether or not they'd be able to work on that knowledge or not, but they have way more than you.
I think as I'm kind of as Ava's kind of walking, just not standing on the beach. I think she does direct a question to Mr. K, nods at the structure, and just says like, "Since you've been so helpful so far, Mr. K, do you mind enlightening us on what that structure is?"
That is a projection of one of the normally submerged structures on the outer edge of the zone.
And I assume it's not out there just to look pretty, does it?
I mean, I'm not enough of a judge of your personal aesthetics to say whether or not it is pretty.
What here's not what it seems.
Wow, again, so many
I
things
know, yeah.
leap to mind. Yeah, you just you can't get away from the idea that whatever that basalt projection is, it's somehow the hand of an enormous statue.
Oh, jeez. I think it was kind of almost drawn to it. I think as they're talking to Mr. K, she's walking towards the thing, kind of leaving Enoch behind. I don't know what he's doing. What's my best way? Okay, what's my best way out of this place in case something happens?
You definitely would have to navigate the there's no way out around it either. You'd have to abandon the ship and take some other boat, or you'd have to get the ship out through the reefs. But you have a pretty good feel for the tides, so you could probably predict the best time to take it over.
I think as that thought kind of enters my mind, I stop. I probably bit close now to that. No, not close, but like maybe just a bit. About maybe a few feet away from the boat where Enoch is. And again, I sigh because that's my default mood. And Your associate there, we got that bearing from them. This bearing. This route. So why are we here?
On this island? Well, I have to admit to a certain curiosity as to the humans that are going to undertake this journey. And there are some things we might learn from you.
Well, it's disappointing then that our captain is in repose. I'm sure she would be delighted to have had your audience.
Captain's not in repose. She's dreaming.
Of?
That's not the right question, Eva Morgan.
Where?
That also is not the precisely accurate question, Eva Morgan. I think you should ask, with whom?
With whom?
Why, the dreamer, of course. Haven't you felt the bad dreams coming at you? You're somewhat sensitive. Your friend Mr. Walker there is more sensitive. For some of them, that makes it easier for us to find a host. We chose Mr. Walker for purely he sort of chuckles. I guess actually, yes, humanitarian reasons. It's easy for us to release him back to you.
Well, that's good to hear. I confess, I just thought the dreams were business as usual. Pleasant dreams are, well, not in my domain. Have not been in my domain for a long time. Is your curiosity satisfied yet?
My curiosity is never going to be satisfied, Eva Morgan, should I live as long as the universe as I fully plan to.
What a pleasant existence you must lead, then.
It has its moments.
I turn to look at Enoch and ask. I'm not asking Enoch. I just turn to look at you and ask. That. I nearly said boy, but he's Chris Hemsworth. He's not a boy.
You know, like I younger than you counts as boy. That's fine.
That Enoch. What is he?
Oh, I'm not really sure myself. I just know he's not from around here.
Something you're not sure of.
There are many things I'm not sure of, Eva Morgan. Why else would I be exploring? Conducting experiments, making observations, helping to fix paths in the space-time continuum so that they flow in a way that is optimized.
You seem terribly sure of me.
Let's just say that my ability to model your responses is reasonably high. I must say, I am unfortunately become a human expert, which is why they give me all these jobs.
Well, I'm glad to know my experience has been rendered mundane in the eyes of the otherworldly.
I always said we should have helped the Martians out more. Oh well.
Oh my god. Okay. I think Eva's head is hurting at this point. Yeah. So, truly, you cannot tell us where we're going?
Well, I can and I can't. I can tell you about it. I don't know exactly where you're going to go, except that at least portions of it will not be on. Sort of shrugs at the attempt to try and explain it. Not quite on planet Earth.
Is there a chance of us being able to leave or come back?
Yes. Oh yes. A chance, yes.
Oh, that's lovely to hear.
I mean, I would need some time, and we seem to lack all but the most primitive mechanical computers, so the calculation would take me a great deal of time.
What the fuck are computers?
Computer? Isn't that a guy?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of computer. Oh God. I think I want to have some time to think of what else Eva wants to do. If you want to cut away to other folks.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Let's cut back to Enoch, I think, and then we'll get back to James. So yeah, Enoch, you're on the beach surrounded by very curious people. And then finally, a couple of they look like sailors in tattered clothes come and like, well, now, here's a good Christian Englishman come upon these shores. Let's drag you away from yon beasties and give you something to drink.
Very well. I'm a cook. If you have food, I can prepare a meal for us.
Well, now, did you bring any potatoes?
Would that be something we have on the ship? Could I go get some, or?
You might have some, yeah.
Oh, you know what? No, but I have yams, is what I would say.
Well, it's close enough, I guess.
Far more. I find them far more palatable.
But you can get yams anywhere on these islands. Well, never mind. I'm Flynn. What be your name?
I'm Enoch Evison. I'm a harpooner's mate.
Oh, then we share that brotherhood.
And assistant to the chef, to the cook. Sorry, not a chef, cook. And cook's mate, I guess, would be what I am.
That is an odd way to make your living, Mr. Enoch. But in any case, my name's Flynn. This mute bastard here, I believe, is called Dimitri.
I nod.
Dimitri says something. I don't know if you speak all languages.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why I would.
I don't know. I mean, Tower of Babel was sort of just an afternoon for you.
Well, so let me. I mean, can I try and read his thoughts as he's talking to me? Kind of look at him and see if I can figure out what it is he's trying to convey to me. So this is reading others' thoughts is brains, which is what I am not good at. So let's see if I can complicate things here a bit. Yeah, so that's a 5. So what that means is on a miss, the GM makes things worse.
Oh, on a miss, the GM makes things worse. Cool. So they're talking to you, and then suddenly Flynn looks up. He's like, "We'd best run. Unless you want to have to do some work for these bastards, we'd best run."
Is Eva around anywhere to kind of look at for advice, or has she gone off to?
I think she's probably deep in thought with Kay right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're actually walking closer to the statue as we're having this conversation.
Okay, then I nod and kind of, it's looking slightly baffled. I nod and follow them wherever it is they're going.
All right. Yeah, and behind you see a bunch of the people who don't walk quite like people looking around and grabbing some of the people that do look like people and roping them together into some kind of gang. But Flynn and Dimitri take you to a cave somewhere in the base of this rock formations. The walls are inside are covered with graven writing of some sort. It's not English writing by any means. But they get down, and Flynn and Dimitri try and open up some clay jars they have, and they're like, "Nah, it's still not going off. We've been trying to brew up something, some kind of rum, but we're not getting anywhere."
And so I'm completely ignoring them because I'm looking at these glyphs and kind of running my hand over them and stuff like this. And as I trace my finger along the curve of one of them, I'm going to try and sense what's beyond as I
good plan.
look at these things here. So that I'm rolling flat on. Oh, and there's a nice, there's a 4 to help move things along.
Cool. So, all you know is that you can't read it, and B, something fills you with terror as you run your hands over them.
Okay. And so I kind of draw my hand away with the start, and I say to them, I think I turn and I say, why have you sought shelter here? It's not safe.
Well, no one comes in here.
Because it's not safe.
No, it's perfectly safe. The structure's sound.
And I kind of point at the writing on the wall, and I say, the structure is sound, but these words are not right.
Well, people are always carving things into stone. I pay it no mind.
I cannot stay here. And I'll just, just walk on out.
Awesome. All right, so Mr. Fyfe, back on board the ship. What's going on? Oh, we lost Scott for a second.
Hit the wrong button.
That's fair. Totally fair.
So it appears to be, as it remains safe looking down on the island, I will eventually work my way down there. And
cool. You take some people with you, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Do you have thoughts on that, or should I pick them?
I would I'd leave the second mate so that we have someone in charge while the captain's sick. And so I would take, what's that other one? Who's the kid? Creepy kid?
Neb?
Neb. I would take Neb with me.
Awesome.
And probably one other you could choose.
Maybe Elizabeth?
Elizabeth's a good one, yeah.
All right. So you guys row up onto the beach with Neb at the tiller. And you see all the creepy people standing around, and the people that are slightly less creepy look like they're kind of elevating some kind of tower, and one person's got out what looks like a heavily modified sextant, and he's taking some kind of bearing on it. So Kay comes striding down the beach, this old woman leaning on a crutch. Says, "Hello, I'm Mr. K. I'm the leader here."
Hello, Kay. I'm Mr. Fyfe. I also am the leader aboard this ship while the captain ails. What is this device?
Oh, well, we're trying. He struggles for a second. Like, do you know what a ley line is?
Actually, I do.
Close enough.
Understood. Seems to be quite a lot of you here on this.
Yes, it's one of the largest gatherings of the archivists in quite a long time. I mean, as you would perceive it.
Archivists. That's an interesting name. What is it that you archive?
Everything.
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 So you're here to archive
the Rising, of course.
Ooh, the Rising. What will be rising? The sun? The moon?
a city.
Look into his eyes.
Her, but yes.
Look into her eyes. I believe you.
That's good because I wasn't lying.
That was clear. That was clear. This cities don't often rise.
Only metaphorically, generally speaking. Be of good cheer, I suppose. Is this not one of the fond racial memories of humans? To the sinking and then rising of Atlantis?
Indeed, indeed. I heard those tales growing up several times.
Well,
So, are you expecting Atlantis to rise here?
oh no, not Atlantis.
And I think that is a perfect time for me to come running up. Kind of, running across the beach, kicking sand. And I come running up to him, looking distressed in a way that I probably usually don't. Mr. Fyfe, I have seen something that has filled me with dread.
That's a first.
There are glyphs on a cave, and they, I was not able to read them, but I felt they were wrong, sir.
Lead me to them. Kay, do you mind if I take leave of you?
Oh no, I have many more important things than to talk to the local caller. So please, attend to whatever you need.
Neb, follow. Glyphs seem to be a specialty of yours.
And Neb's looking at Enoch's panic and just sort of like shrugs. It looks like he wants to cry.
You'll be
This
fine.
way, sir. Some of the crewmen were using the place to make liquor. They said that no one came here, and when I saw what was inside, I knew why.
Okay, lead us there. We will look at these glyphs.
I will do so. I'll, kind of lead you back across the beach and down around the bend and stuff, and there's that little cave.
Yeah, Dimitri and Flynn see you approach and they get up with a start like, oh, wait, no. Oh, you've come back with a party there, Mr. Enoch.
I've come to show Mr. Fyfe what is inside the cave.
What, our rum?
Your rum doesn't matter. No, the glyphs.
He shrugs like, if you want to look at some chicken scratch in the wall, be my guest, Mr. Fyfe.
Okay. And I think we head in and Nick points it out to me.
Yeah, and I look super nervous. Like I'm glancing around and stuff, and
I'm gonna feel against the wall.
And I point at exactly the one where I got that sense of. That one there.
Are you trying to sense what's beyond?
I think I will. Close my eyes. Feel, and I get an 11.
An 11? Cool. You see a great, inglorious city that seems to float above or in or on the waves. And it is sized not for humans, but there are creatures that first you think are humans, but then you can see that they They look like some kind of strange cross between fish and man. And some of them inhabit the city, and others are coming to it and going from it. And then the waves cascade over the city, and it sinks. But you are filled with both sadness at the sinking of the city and dread at what it is that you sensed in the city. And then you're being shook awake. And when you look out, the light has changed and it's evening. And Enoch, James was dead to the world for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. Would I have? Are we back on the ship, or you know what? I think I probably wouldn't have moved him.
You've been sitting vigil, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, if he touched it and like eyes rolled up and he collapsed, I would just sit with him. What about the kid? What did he just stay, or
Nope. Got out immediately.
Bolted. Yeah, okay. Yep. All right.
Somebody's...
So Eva, you were walking towards the statue, huh?
Yeah, and Kay left apparently.
Yeah.
In the middle of that, but I think partially Eva's probably glad because her headache's getting worse.
Yeah.
But she was drawn to that statue.
So it's climbable. I mean, if you want, there's like a lot of loose rock gathered at the base of where, what would you have this strange suspicion is the wrist.
I think yes, Eva is going to climb it. This is almost like just out of reflex, as if like all this talk of this ridiculous cosmology is just doing her head in. It's like, okay, all right. It feels like she has this compulsion to just like, maybe if I climb this, I'll figure out what the hell is going on or anything. Like,
so you clamber up onto the knuckles. I mean, or the rough rock formations that look like knuckles. And you see sitting there is a young girl, maybe 12 years old. She has very red hair and very pale skin. She's wearing a sun hat and a pinafore and just sort of dangling her feet over the side. But when she looks up at you, it's with that weird stare that only the ridden have.
Are you here to lay out the truth for me, or... He even sighs again and just sits down next to this girl.
I'm here to learn. I mean, it didn't yet need to be so, but I think it is fortunate that I chose an immature body. It somewhat represents my own immaturity at this task. I'm here to learn. This is only my second field mission.
Did they tell you what you're meant to learn?
Oh, I'm an anthropologist. And a psychologist, though for us, they're very similar disciplines.
Have those words been invented in this time?
I don't think so, no.
No, okay, all right. Like, Eva just nods like, okay, fine, whatever. Well, I hope you're learning much from us.
Well, to be honest, I don't really understand humans that well yet.
I don't think humans understand humans that well either.
Yeah, that was my initial observation, yes. Of course, you don't understand us, I don't think.
No, you don't even know you existed.
Well, this could be an example of a profitable exchange of knowledge. Mr. K tells me, I mean, that's what you call him, right, Mr. K?
That's what he introduced himself as.
Mr. K tells me that there's a surprising amount of information that can be gained from helping humans.
So I'm just gonna let that fade. I guess that depends on what knowledge you consider useful. I doubt there's much to be learned from myself.
Well, it's interesting that you should say that, Eva Morgan.
Am I that? Never mind. Never mind. I'd ask how you'd know, but I assume I wouldn't understand.
Oh, I read the preliminary mission notes before we left.
What did the note say about me?
Oh, that I would have this encounter with you. It was marked, and therefore I'm trying to observe it with more clarity this time. But also, humans do not have a temporal sense, and yet sometimes I find that there are humans who seem to be very strongly drawn to fixed points in time. I find this a very curious factor of your race. It's quite unusual for a primate species to evolve such a alternative capability.
Most of that again is going over. I'm trying to balance like what she know, what I would know, because I know most of what this is about, but she wouldn't. And so I think Ava says like, I think that's a mystery to us as well, and even I confess. I hope I am not being a disappointment in not understanding most of what you're saying.
Oh, it is to be expected. To be honest, if we had been prepared for a more investigative and stealth field mission, we would have made a stronger attempt to make sure that we conform to local idiom. But this was primarily a research and observation of the phenomena.
No, I'm quite glad of that. That means that we can converse without artifice, I guess. See each other eye to eye for what each of us really are. Well, to an extent.
She has kind of wry grin when you say that. It seems to me that you are very strongly drawn to a moment in your past.
I think that he looks away, and some people are defined by strong moments in their past.
Would you care to revisit it?
Let's see. There's a move for if I want to hide my sin. I'm going to try and hide it because I don't want to revisit it. So, when you try to mix with respectable company, good, honest folk, choose whether to confirm and try to hide your sin best you can, or to let all who know see what you have done. I'm going to choose to hide. Oh.
She seems honest and is some kind of folk.
Some kind of folk. In some universe, she is a kind of folk. Okay. Roll plus balance, which is one of my good stats. Oh my god, that's a 12. And let's see. So on the 10 plus, your scene is not revealed. However, you find others like you who can help. What does that mean in the context of this?
I don't know. She's kind of the others there who could help.
Yeah. I think for the first time in this session, Eva does kind of like smile a bit, but it's a sad one. And I think she says, I'm not sure how revisiting it would help. You might need to sell this idea on me a bit more forcefully.
Oh, she reaches into her little straw bag that has a picture of a duck stitched on the side, pulls out what a future generation would remark as the very interestingly arranged 7-beam slide rule.
Okay.
There's a reasonable chance that you could change the course of events without too much damage to the current path. You should understand something about yourself, Eva Morgan. I know that you probably look at this one point as the time that made you into who you are, but that is not the case.
when you say she could change it to Eva's eyes, it's like, why didn't just? I assume if that were the case, then stop me if I'm wrong. But if that is the case, what I'd get, I wouldn't know if it's better or worse. It would just simply be different. Then, would it?
You would not be a particularly different person. How you feel about that event might change. And of course, there would be knock-on effects for those who are affected.
Well, at least I'll say how I felt then, because that's feeling that I've carried this whole time, and I've carried it for so long, that the idea of not carrying it, it seems impossible. But given where I am, my ideas of impossible seem foolish.
There are many things that we think are impossible that are not. However, one of the purposes of the archive is to find those things that should remain impossible and keep them that way.
So I'm not impossible.
Oh no. No. You fall within within a one standard deviation mean of your predicted path.
Tell me, is it foolish for me to want to hold on to this feeling?
I don't think that I'm qualified to judge that. I don't understand people that well. I suppose you should tell me why you feel that way.
That day I made my choice when I saw the plea from those who had raised me, asking me to save them. I took their plea and I tossed it into the fire, and for the first time, I thought I felt what they felt when they said they saw the face of God. I felt, for a moment, I felt divine. I felt like I was ascending when I abandoned them. For that moment, I thought my soul was cleansed. I hadn't realized until that moment passed that it was simply being scoured. It was being hollowed out. And for the longest time after that, I thought that I did not live in this world. I merely existed.
Well, we are all, even the archivists, merely tiny bubbles of negative entropy float upon the heat death of the universe. Merely existing is not mere. It is existence is the highest thing that you can accomplish as a being. There are many, many things in this universe that do not exist. For example, whole sides of me will probably one day cease to exist the more field work I
If
do.
that is the case,
Go ahead.
no, sorry, you broke up there.
Oh, sure. What do you want me
You
to...
said that existence is the highest form of being.
Oh, yeah. There are
So I didn't get what you said after that.
there are many branches of me that will undoubtedly cease to exist if I continue to do field work.
Sorry, my internet just fecked up there again. I don't know why. It's me. It's that sentence. Say it one more time. Sorry about that.
Sure, we'll try it. Let's take 3. Huh? There are many parts of me that will cease to exist if I continue to do field work.
Well, I doubt. No, I shouldn't presume. I think your offer is generous, but I'd rather let my whatever feelings I had, whatever actions I've done, I'd rather let them stand for now.
Very well. If you like, I can monitor
Do you have a name?
I have decided to use the name of my host, which is Moira.
Funny, I knew a girl named Moira.
Did you?
She was. She's long gone.
Well, think of this as a chance at recurrence. You're a very interesting human being, Eva Morgan. I shall monitor you.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Okay, so I guess wait, by the time you come down, the sun is setting. What happens with Mr. Fyfe, Enoch? Do you carry him out help him out onto the beach once he comes to, or?
Once he comes to, I say, I'm going to ask him what. Sir, you've returned.
I saw the worst image, the worst vision. Where are we?
We're still in the cave. I didn't think it wise to move you for fear that
Yes, please help me.
that perhaps this place had taken you from your body, and that if I were to remove your body, you would not be able to find your way back to it.
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know, but please help me get out of this place.
Yeah. I'll hoist him up, throw an arm over my shoulder, and walk him out.
All right, so I guess Eva, you see James and Enoch staggering back onto the beach. Elizabeth and Neb have built a little bonfire. Flynn and Dimitri are basically going around asking people for alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go join them.
Mr. Morgan, there are things that are not right here.
Agreed. There's much not right.
Oh, poor dears.
It's a terrible vision of a city with not quite people, not quite fish walking about.
Okay. Oh, for God's sake. Sorry, my internet's being terrible again. This hourglass icon has just showed up.
Phew.
Hold on. Yeah, this happened as soon as my dad got home from work. It's so weird. Hello?
Can you hear us at all?
Ah, Jesus Christ. Come on, internet.
Lost Andro. We did lose him. Okay, so we should gather the crew and get back to the ship. I don't think it's safe here. They talked about Kay spoke of waiting for the city to rise, and the vision I saw of the city was not a city that would be safe to be in.
We can't just leave these people here. Whatever it is that they're going to do, I think they do not understand what it will do to, and I kind of make a hand gesture that indicates all the people that we see walking around. They're different. They want to know things. Knowing things can be dangerous.
Ken, the people here also seem in thrall. Our own Bill Walker is not Bill Walker. Whatever happens when these when these archivists leave these women, they'll need to be carried from this spot.
The captain knew that we would be needed here. That's why she brought us here. To stop this.
She is wise. Leandro, can you hear us yet?
Yeah. What? Sorry about that. Hello?
So I'll row.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yep. We can hear you.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know if you caught any of that. Enoch was saying that we need to be here for the people here, and I was in a roundabout way agreeing with him. That when the archivists leave, people will have nowhere to go safe.
Yeah, I think Eva kind of nods like cautiously because I don't think she saw the. She mostly saw the slightly cuddlier side of the archivist.
Well, we're gonna let's return to the ship.
But I think
Are
she
we
says
returning
like,
to the ship?
well, if we. Hold on.
Oh no! Did we lose him again?
I think so.
2.
So, do we return to the ship?
I think so.
All right, then I'll push the boat out and set my arms to it and start rowing us back.
Perfect.
I find it just singularly appropriate that Leandro keeps vanishing in the middle of things on the island of the archivists.
We are back to the boat. Or the ship, rather. We're taking the boat back to the ship.
This seems fair. I mean, nobody's going to stop you.
Yeah. Okay. And I think we would want to make sure we collect Elizabeth and what's his name? And
Neb?
the kid. Elizabeth and Neb as well.
Yeah.
Neb.
So as you're rowing back, Elizabeth looks at you, Enoch, and she says, "Is this place my sign?"
And I look at her and I say, I don't know, but it may be a sign for all of us. There is, we need to talk to the captain. She will know what to do.
Captain's still ill.
Perhaps this is, and perhaps she, though she can't speak, she'll give us a sign.
Good. Okay. So, when we get back to the ship, and settle in, first thing that happens is Bill, as soon as he steps on the deck of the ship, blinks a couple times, staggers for a moment, leans against the mast, then looks up and says, I was somewhere else, wasn't I?
Jim, you're muted.
Walker. You were someone else.
Jim, you're muted.
I just reach up and grab him by the shoulders and I say, they had you, but you've come back to us now.
I don't remember any of it.
It's probably best you don't, Mr. Walker.
So the second thing that happens is, I don't know if they'd come up with Enoch and Mr. Fyfe there, but probably they'd wait a second for when it looks like they can intercept you. But Hezekiah and who was the other conspirator? I wrote it down. Oh, Isaac, come up to you, Eva. Have you managed to talk to Mr. Fyfe anymore? Or did we lose Leandro again?
Was
Oh.
Okay. Sorry, I keep trying to turn on cameras and I'm just gonna keep this off. These.
That's fair. That's totally okay.
Hello?
It happens. Can you hear us?
Hello? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh no.
Hello?
But he can't hear us.
No, I think I can hear. I heard that.
Oh, can you hear this?
Yes, no, I can hear it now. I think there was just a moment where I couldn't hear because
Okay.
I don't know what happened. The internet's just going okay. So Hezekiah and
Alright.
Isaac Hamilton came up to Eva.
Yes, and they did you talk to Mr. Fyfe yet? Have you worn him down?
At this point, I don't think I can wear him down any further.
So Isaac says, may I make you an offer, Miss Morgan?
If you wish.
I've had a look at the Cassandra. The damage is not particularly severe. Give me back my Cassandras and any of your crew that don't want to go any further on this voyage. And we'll put the Cassandra back to right and float her. Then you can go on your way to hell or wherever it is you're headed. And we'll take the rest back to America.
Eva, I think, yeah, she nods at that and says, that's all I truly wanted, Mr. Hamilton. Give people a chance. I thought the last chance was at Pitcairn, but...
I won't lie, it's a lot of work.
But if anyone truly seeks to leave, then they'll find that the work will be worth it, will it not?
Indeed. Perhaps some are on the shore. We can have them help and take them off as well.
Well, such an undertaking. The whole ship will know, Mr. Hamilton. So by all rights, I must inform Mr. Fyfe of this.
That's fair.
I'll pass the word along then.
So it's night. We're kind of going into night here. Everybody's going to sleep and stuff like that.
I think that's fair.
So in the dark of night, I am going to climb up the mast to the crow's nest, and I am going to look up at the North Star, and I'm going to close my eyes and imagine, and I can hear just at the edge of my hearing the beating of distant wings. And I am going to use my Others Like Me move.
I saw this coming, yes.
When I call on creatures like me for aid, and explicitly what I want is for them to help us resist being taken over by the riders. And if that means that each of them, I summon a bunch of them down and they're piggybacking the crew so that they can't be taken over or whatever. But the specific aid that I want is however they can help me from, like I said, keep the crew from getting taken over.
Je vous invite à jeter les dés.
I don't know what that means.
Roll the dice, please.
I was going to say, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to roll the dice, so that's probably good. All right, okay. So I'm rolling flat because this is beyond. Boom! There's boxcars!
Well, it's about time.
Nice. So, when you call on creatures like you for aid, roll plus beyond. On a success, they come to help, but choose one. They manifest as visions or dreams within the minds of those present. Absolutely, because we're keeping in. I mean, we're just going to roll right along with what we've been doing so far. On a 10 plus, they also leave me with something puzzling and otherworldly. Cool.
All right, so tell me about these dreams.
Oh, I think that for like it's probably different for everybody, but the thing they have in common is that like that kind of sound of distant wings on the back of their, and humanoid shapes with wings of fire or smoke or blazing light or something like that to appear to the people on the ship to some extent, and just kind of like enfold them in their dreams, and the wings just kind of like just sort of go around them, and it probably is terrifying as it's happening, but then but when they wake up, they have this sense, I think that like that there's something watching over them that is not the kind of like, it seems like kind of everybody's just got this kind of pervasive sense of dread about this place. And I don't think that it's gone, but there's something else there that is bolstering them against it.
Cool. So, as you sit in the crow's nest staring at the star, you hear a whispering, singing voice in your ears. Enoch. Eve's son by choice. Can you hear me?
And I nod because I know it can see me.
I am the Metroton. I have something for you, son of Eve by choice.
Does this gift come with a price? Everything does with you.
You chose this path. The path of mortal is to pay a price, always.
Left hand up to the sky?
When you bring it down, there is a delicate golden trumpet. It's a simple trumpet. It's got no loop or anything. It's just a long, thin golden trumpet.
Like an actual literal trumpet I'm holding in my hand. All right. Okay. I am gonna, you know what? I'm gonna creep down from the mast and I'm gonna I'm hiding that in the captain's cabin.
Fantastic. So, in the morning, Mr. Fyfe, as you come out on deck, you can see that a boat is pushed off from the island and is rowing under your lee.
And who's in the boat?
Well, standing at the back is Kay, leaning on her crutch. There's a little girl in a pinafore dress and straw hat. There are a couple other people that have that haggard rider look, and then there are a couple people who look quite relieved that they're under the lee of your ship. Mr. Fyfe,
Yes.
I have some passengers for you. They wish to sign on as your crew. I believe you have some people who wish to stay here.
I do.
Well, they have my leave to try and float the Cassandra.
No. Did I lose internet?
Oh, no.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
Big hiccup. Everybody was first.
Yeah, so Kay says, they have my leave to try and float the Cassandra. When we have a moment, we'll help them when we can.
All right, let's exchange passengers.
All right. So up they come. They run a bosun. You run a bosun's chair down for the little girl. She steps on the deck, shakes your hand with enormous seriousness, and says, "You may call me Moira."
Moira, that is a lovely name.
Is it? Interesting. She makes a note. All right. So Isaac and the Cassandras descend down into the boat. Isaac nods at you and says, "Well, Mr. Fyfe, I can't say as I feel very confident about your chances, but I wish you all the best."
I wish you the best as well.
Are you sure that you know what you're coming for?
Not at all.
There's still time, you know. You may turn back, oh man.
None of us can see what tomorrow brings, no matter which direction we're heading.
I think when you say nobody can see what tomorrow brings, case is like...
Hush you! You're going to ruin my point! You archivists are the worst!
They really are. All right, and with that, they push off and head towards the shore. Where there's already parties dragging what wood they can strip off the other ships.
And how many came aboard?
So let's call it 3 humans, 2 archivists, and Moira.
Okay.
Who is also an archivist, but we have a name for her. So.
Right. She's a named archivist.
Yes.
Okay. So introduce them around as necessary. Those who are going to be joining the crew, introduced to Mr. Walker and to Eva and Moira. Why did some of the archivists choose to journey with us?
Oh, we wish to see the phenomenon up close.
And are we going up close?
I believe we are. That is your intention, isn't it?
It is our intention to continue in this direction.
Many of our instruments cannot penetrate within the zone of the phenomenon. Therefore, we are taking the risky expedient of sending a host.
I guess I'm glad that we're able to be of assistance.
Well, we'll see how well it works. It's highly likely that this branch will never return to the collective and so donate its knowledge, but there's a possibility, or else Mr. K would not have sent me. I am considered somewhat expendable.
Sorry to hear that.
I mean, this branch is. Fortunately, my own branched consciousness is preserved in the archive.
So you live on.
Sort of.
I'm not sure that I have the same sense of my eternal continuance.
Oh yes, you. Well, unless you have some means that I am not aware of, yes, your death is permanent.
There are probably friendlier ways to say that, but thank you.
Oh, there are? She looks at her notebook again.
You speak with all the forwardness of our own Enoch.
Oh yes, I would dearly like to study that phenomenon up close.
Oh, I should call for Enoch.
Okay. Oh, good. We're gonna put these two together. That's awesome.
Enoch, I'd like you to meet Moira.
And so I nod once cautiously, and I say, "You're one of them."
She looks at you and says, "You're one of them. But I'm not really sure how you fixed your hyperspace matrix in four dimensionality. Very curious. Did you roll up the 17th or 18th dimension within the four dimensions? And I've heard that can work, but it's not very stable."
I am here.
Great, you said words that
By
all make visual sense.
I am here by choice.
Oh yes, obviously, of course. You must have volition. Yes, fascinating, just fascinating. Oh, what I wouldn't do for a translate spectroscope right now.
Does she know? Does she know what you do while you're her?
How much do you wish to know? Enoch, isn't it? Interesting designation.
Does she suffer?
Moira O'Hare will die at the age of 14 of a disease I believe you call rickets. But for now, in the archive, she can spend, well, quite a long time of life. I'm not sure if that counts as suffering. I am told that in the religion that Moira O'Hare believes in, that this world is considered only suffering.
But you're not of this world.
The archive will be on Earth for a very long time. So it's difficult to say that we're not of this world. Oh, God.
Yeah, and I just scowl and cross my arms and, like, I'm just staring at her.
Why, Enoch, I've never seen you so cross before.
She doesn't belong here. Sorry, it doesn't belong here. It should give her back.
We agree. We were able to get our Bill Walker back, but these few, they still seem to be enthralled.
We're safe, though.
That's good.
I say, and like I'm staring pointedly at her when I say that.
So she looks at the two of you, nods, says, "Storm's coming," and then skips away. The sky is absolutely clear, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to have made her a bit uncomfortable.
They're not afraid of you. They might be afraid of me.
What is it about you that they're afraid of?
They have a foot in more than one world. In a way, I do too. And I think they may not know exactly where they are planted.
Maybe that can be of use to us. Should be needed.
And I nod. And I say, the other thing that may be of use to us is knowing that they rely upon, that they are only as healthy as those that they steal.
Indeed. And you are their cook.
I am, sir.
Good to know.
I do kind of want to add that, like, I think when Moira skipped off, I think Ava actually went to talk to her. So this conversation is just between the two of them.
Oh, 100%. What did you want to say to Moira?
Actually, I didn't have anything to say. I just wanted to see. I just wanted like to add that detail. Like, maybe I don't know. Maybe they noticed that. Because the thing is, I don't think Ava figured that they're just possessing other people. She got to talk to the nicer side of them.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Cool. So later, when the storm hits in all its fury and the ship is pitching, Ava, during a moment where you come down below decks to try and get a little broth before you head back on, you see Neb kind of just huddled in the corner of the galley.
Neb, I would have thought that you'll be used to a storm or two by now.
Not the storm I'm scared of, Miss Morgan.
And come tell me what ails you right now.
Them that was on that island, they're pretty bad, I guess, right?
Why do they seem bad to you?
It's not right taking somebody's body from them.
Very well, maybe.
That's not what make me scared, though, Miss Morgan. You know that, I have a little bit of the sight, right?
A bit.
I can see a little bit of what they are, and I know one thing. They ain't saying it, but they're scared of whatever we're about to go to.
Then that just makes them like us.
Yeah, but they're a lot more powerful than us.
Neb, do you want some broth?
Thank you kindly, ma'am. Yes, I would.
God.
So I'm guessing that like the right before the credit scene would be there's a huge stroke of lightning, and then suddenly we just see extreme close up the captain's eyes yank open.
Perfect.
Wow. Oh, you guys are so screwed. I mean, everything's gonna be fine.
Oh, not possible.
Well, you keep saying that, and like it's never gonna come true if you just keep saying it.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's kind of my thing. It's like my catchphrase.
I mean, I guess it comes true sometimes.
I'll add that as a funding tier on the Carnations Kickstarter. We get this $23,000. I'll come up with a new catchphrase for when I run sessions.
Yeah,